Almost a year ago, I made a video about the casting for Shadowhunters and sort of what my hopes for the show were, and now, like 10 months later, here we are. Hello lovely people, my name is Nicole, and today I want to talk about the first 2 episodes of Shadowhunters. If you do not know what Shadowhunters is, it is a TV adaptation of Cassandra Clare's Mortal Instruments series, primarily, although I think they also have the rights to her other series. The TV show is on what used to be ABC Family and is now Freeform at, I think, 9 o'clock on Tuesdays. So the first episode premiered this Tuesday and they put the second episode online, so if you've only seen one of them, I highly suggest you go watch the other one. So if you haven't seen the show and you're still deciding whether or not to watch it, I will let you know when I'm about to get spoilery, but I want to make sure that there's a non-spoilery part for those of you who are still trying to decide whether or not you want to give the show a shot. So overall, the pilot episode, I think, was a little bit rough. There was a lot of exposition and actors seemed like they weren't really fully comfortable with their characters yet, but I think that's generally to be expected with a pilot episode. You know, everyone's still trying to get settled, and you kind of have to have that, you know, 1 or 2 episodes of just pure exposition to get used to the world and to understand what the hell is going on. I think by the second episode, it's still some exposition stuff, but they've sort of gotten more comfortable, the acting's a little bit better, and I think as the season progresses, things are just gonna get better and better. They generally stuck to the storyline from the books. A couple things are different, things like they accelerated the timeline a bit. It's a TV show, so I do think that they're going to diverge a bit, and I mean, they've told us that they're going to diverge a bit, and I think that's okay, because we don't want to be able to know everything that's going to happen. As much as I would love a word-for-word adaptation of all my favorite series, that's not how the world works. I think they did a really good job of capturing sort of the spirit of the books and the vibe of most of the characters. In particular, I think Alberto was fantastic as Simon. He was by far my favorite. Every time he was on screen, I just couldn't help but smile. I think Matt was fantastic as Alec. Those were pretty much my 2 favorites. Other people that I thought were good but not, like, brilliant were Dom as Jace, Isaiah as Luke, I think was really good, and then Kat was also good. Overall, there are a couple moments where the acting isn't phenomenal, but because pilot episodes are usually so rough, I'm not going to make definitive judgments on most of the actors until we've seen more from them. The one person's acting who I didn't love was Emerald as Izzy, which kind of breaks my heart because I think she looks the part so perfectly. It's just, I don't know how much of it was her acting and how much of it was just the writing. Whenever she said things, it just felt kind of clunky and awkward. Hopefully that gets better as the series goes on. Overall, I liked it. I wasn't blown away by it, but I am definitely excited to see what the rest of the season has coming. So I will definitely keep watching. I'm about to talk more in detail about specific scenes and things that the actors did and etc, etc. So if you have not yet seen the first 2 episodes, go watch them now and then come back once you've seen them and we can talk. So to try and give this some sort of structure, I think I'm going to start off by just going through each character. So start off with Clary. I think that Kat was adorable. There were a couple moments where her acting felt a little off, but in general, I think she did a really good job. Especially her dynamic with Simon was so cute, so just perfect best friends. Like I said earlier, I loved Alberto. I'll get more into him later. But overall, I think Kat did a pretty good job. I think she really did best in scenes where she was either with Simon or freaking out in some way, which there were a lot of. Her chemistry with Jace isn't really there yet, but we didn't get quite as many scenes in the first 2 episodes as we did in the first little bit of the books between the 2 of them, just the 2 of them talking and hanging out. The moment I missed with Clary was her killing the Ravener demon. I think that was so important in the books because it was her proving both to Jace and to herself that she belongs in this world. And even if she isn't sort of conscious that she's doing that at the moment because she's, you know, freaked out and she doesn't know what the hell's going on, it's still her standing up for herself and kicking ass. And I think the fact that she was just saved by Jace and she didn't actually do anything in the show kind of took away a lot of that. I also really love her and Luke's dynamic. I think we only got one scene of them actually interacting together, but in that scene they were so cute and just like father-daughtery, and I can't wait till we see more of them together because it was adorable. And I really liked Luke. I think they did a really good job capturing his essence and sort of who he is and what his priorities are from the books. And I was originally kind of annoyed that they took away the bookstore and made him a cop, but I think it actually makes a lot of sense in the TV show. It gives us sort of another insight into what's going on in New York and gives us an in that we wouldn't have had otherwise, so we can kind of use the police as an excuse to why Luke's doing all this investigating and all that jazz. I also really like Captain Vergas, I think. I thought she was really funny, and I really loved all the jokes about her being like, you know, Jocelyn, you should marry her. I mean, you're already acting like her husband, so you might as well. I really hope that she doesn't turn out to be evil because I really like her. Jocelyn, I think, was good, but I didn't love her. Some of the acting felt a little awkward. I will say that flashback with her like bringing Clary to Magnus was weird. It felt really, really unnecessary, and it was a flashback within a flashback, which, like, no, please don't do that. It's really confusing, and I don't know, it just felt really unnecessary, and it felt like it told us too much too early. I mean, we saw that Clary had some memory issues. That's what the whole second episode it was about, and I think the Silent Brothers saying that's as much of the memories that we can get to. The others are blocked somehow opens up sort of this mystery as to what do we do, how do we get to these memories, and directly showing us in the first episode how she had her memories taken away kind of spoils that mystery. I think if Clary had just had weird flashes of Magnus, like when she saw him in Pandemonium and that kind of thing, that would have been enough to lead them to Magnus later on, to help her uncover the rest of her memories. I really think it was just kind of a waste of a flashback, and it felt really kind of weird. It was just awkward. And Simon, like I said earlier, I loved. I thought he was so funny. His one-liners were perfect, and he was just the perfect Simon. Alberto was amazing. I want him to be my best friend. I want to date him. I mean, I've always had a huge crush on Simon. Simon's always been 100% my type. But, oh my god, Alberto was perfect. I thought he had fantastic chemistry with Clary. That piggyback ride out of their apartment was adorable. Anytime she seemed like she was worried or freaked out, his automatic instinct was just, first of all, make sure Clary's okay. It's so clear how much he cares about her, and I love it. I'm a little worried because I feel like she and Simon have more chemistry in the TV show than she and Jace. But we've seen more scenes of her and Simon together, so I don't know. And I mean, it's perfectly valid, I think, to ship differently in the TV show than you do in the books, because in the books, I'm 100% Clace. In the TV show, I'm not so sure. We'll see. I also loved how he acted when he was around Izzy, just sort of that cute nervousness, like, I don't know what to say, when she was all, like, flirty. Izzy, I think that visually she was really good. I loved all her outfits and styling, and I loved that they included the joke about her being bad at cooking. I loved the moment where Clary was trying on Izzy's clothes and Jace was just like, she's really comfortable with her body. I mean, that's really who Izzy is. She's so just comfortable with who she is and not willing to hide that and not willing to, you know, let anyone make her feel bad about that. And I think she looks really cool in the show. Acting wise, like I said earlier, I don't think Emerald was great. I'm definitely holding off definitive judgment until we see how she progresses throughout the show. But in the first 2 episodes, her acting felt kind of clunky and forced, and a lot of times like she was kind of trying too hard to be sexy. I do think her best scenes were when she was with Alec. I think the Lightwood sibling dynamic was adorable. I loved the moment where Alec was ranting and Izzy's like, I love you, bro, but la da 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 da, and Alec stops his rant to just say, I love you too. That really seems like one of the only times we see Alec soften so far is when he's talking to Izzy, which is adorable, and I loved Alec. I thought he was so spot on. I thought he had way more personality than he did in the books, to be honest. I love book Alec. Like, he's my favorite character, but we don't really get to see his personality until much later on, and I definitely think we saw a lot of who he is, or sort of how he presents himself, and saw that there's something more going on that he has to sort of investigate within himself. I loved him. I thought he was so just adorably grumpy. And I also loved the moment where he was talking to Jace and he told Jace, like, you were never astray. I think there were definitely a lot of hints of what's to come with Alec, and I loved it. As for Jace, I think he was good. I didn't think he was brilliant. He definitely felt more like book Jace than movie Jace did. And he had a lot more sass, a lot more of that sort of funny cockiness. I thought that he and Clary didn't have a ton of chemistry, but that could build as we go on. Hodge was, I don't know if you guys remember when Hodge was originally cast and everyone was hashtagging Hot Hodge or Hodge is hot or something like that. And then we were kind of like, okay, we don't know how they're gonna style him. We don't know how they're gonna portray him. We don't know how his acting's gonna be. We may need to start up that hashtag again. Cause like, wow. Holy shit, Hodge was really hot. Oh my god, he was gorgeous. I thought that the scene with Hodge was really interesting. It's a little weird that the Clave is so, like, never ever ever talk about this. No one's allowed to know what happened. Because in the books, I mean, they weren't, like, advertising what happened. But it was sort of common knowledge, almost. I mean, it's not like it happened that long ago. It was only 15, 18 years ago, or whatever. So it's not like people don't remember. I mean, at one point, almost half of the young Shadowhunters in Idris were in the circle before Valentine went crazy. Like, it's not a secret. They're not, like, actively teaching about it, but it's not like people don't know what the circle is. But for some reason in the show, it's like no one's allowed to talk about it, and if anyone in the circle talks about it, they get in pain, which seems kind of weird. Although it did, I think, show a really important part of Clary's personality. That scene, how even though, like, her main goal throughout this entire thing was just protect my mom, if I need to, protect Simon. Those were her two main focuses. She rarely strayed from, you know, that mindset. And I think that was really important. Although, like, one of the only times we saw her sort of pause on those was when she was talking to Hodge, and in that case she's like, I mean, we need this information, but, like, I don't want to put you in pain. You don't have to do this. It really shows how much of sort of an empathetic person she is. I think that was a really important moment for her. I think most of the side characters, the sort of random circle members, the demon from the beginning, those were kind of awkward acting-wise. I didn't love them, but I mean, most of them were killed off, so it doesn't really matter. Dot, on the other hand, I loved. I think it was a little weird that they made her a warlock. I mean, I guess it ties more into the world than just having Dorothea be like a fake witch. But I liked that it sort of gave Clary more friends, I guess, because in the books, I mean, she had Simon and she was also kind of friends with his band, but they weren't like super close or anything. But it was nice that she had more than just Simon. I mean, she was also clearly really good friends with Maureen in this. I also like that they aged up Maureen. I mean, I think it was an interesting plotline in the books, but kind of weird. It was nice to give them another friend. Although I didn't like that they made the band just Simon and Maureen. That felt weird. I missed Eric. I missed all the bad poetry. The Silent Brothers, what I don't get about the Silent Brothers is why they moved the Silent City from the graveyard to this random under a bridge sketchy place. I think the graveyard was such like a powerful, like, it was creepy as hell. and really fit the Silent City, whereas this sort of random, sketchy bridge made no sense. Why is the entrance to the Silent City there? I think the Silent Brothers were portrayed really well. They looked super creepy, although it was weird that they called the Mortal Sword the Soul Sword. Is it like a different sword? Or what? Because like, that sword being the mortal sword is important. It's one of the mortal instruments. Did they just like come up with another name, just like a nickname for the sword, just so that we wouldn't associate it with the mortal cut too quickly? I'm very proud of Simon for going almost 2 whole episodes without getting kidnapped. That seems like it might be a record for him in sometime in the future, just because, you know, it's Simon. We love him, but he gets kidnapped a lot. And I think it was really interesting, and I'm kind of interested as to what they'll do with it, that he got kidnapped not from Magnus's party. I really like that the Institute was super high-tech and cool. It really made it feel updated. The Seraph blades looked a little like plastic, which is kind of disappointing, but you know, whatever, it's just a detail. It's kind of annoying, but not a big thing. The Institute was really busy, which is very different from the books, although I think it makes a lot more sense for the Institute to be busy because, you know, New York's one of the biggest cities in the world, and for it to be defended entirely by 3 teenagers and occasionally their parents seemed weird in the books. And so I think it made a lot more sense for them to have just a crap ton of people there. It also made it feel more like an organization that sends people out on missions and has like a specific purpose, than just sort of like casual. It felt more casual in the books. And as for the runes, I don't really understand yet how the runes work in the TV show, because in the books they had to draw a new rune whenever they wanted to use it. And then it sort of faded into a scar. With the exception of like a few runes that stayed forever dark, like the angelic power rune. They just sort of like had a couple runes and then like went over them when they needed a new one, which I didn't really get. I don't know, it was a little confusing as to like what the rules are as to like when you need new runes. In general, the magic system seemed a little bit confusing. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, so they haven't had a ton of time to explain it, and I mean, like, Clary hasn't met Magnus yet or anything, so maybe once we meet him, he'll explain it more. But things like people just like made portals out of nowhere, whereas in the books, portals are generally, with a few exceptions, like permanent fixtures that are opened and then closed by a warlock, and that's like a big deal when a portal is opened. They're not just for casual use. So that was the thing I didn't quite like, especially seeing like the Circle using portals to get to their base, which, first of all, why the hell was their base in Chernobyl? That's so weird and like random, and it's supposed to be in New York, which I don't like nitpicking things, because like it's supposed to be this way in the books, but that's just one thing. It seems weird. Why make it so far away? That means they have to portal everywhere they go, which means that you have to have these weird spontaneous portals. Also, where are you getting a warlock to make these portals? I did, however, really like Valentine's acting. I felt like he was really just like, he made me uncomfortable, which is how Valentine's supposed to make you feel, because Valentine is awful. There were a couple moments with certain reveals of certain parenthoods, i.e. Valentine is Clary's dad, that was revealed by the Silent Brothers. And I think it was revealed earlier than it was in the book. I don't remember when exactly it was revealed in the book, but I saw a lot of people being like, why did they reveal it so early? I don't know. I don't think there's really anything to lose by revealing it early. But it seemed weird that when they were talking to Hodge and he was like, yeah, Jocelyn was in the Circle, she was one of my friends, he wouldn't mention that Jocelyn was Valentine's wife. That seems like kind of a big thing that you might want to mention. So overall, I liked the TV show. I wasn't blown away by it. I am definitely interested as to where they'll go with things. I'm going to keep watching it. But let me know what you thought of the TV show in the comments. I love you, and I will see you later. Bye!